The ancient signal. The discovery. Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her palms against the cold metal railing of the observation deck, staring out at the star-filled void beyond the research station. The readings on her tablet made no sense. For 3 weeks, the Deep Space Monitoring Array had been picking up energy signatures that defied every law of physics she knew. The signals originated from the direction of Proxima Centauri, but they carried patterns too complex to be natural phenomena. Still losing sleep over those readings, Commander Marcus Reed approached, his military bearing evident even in the low gravity of the station. His weathered face showed concern as he studied Sarah's exhausted features. "Marcus, look at this." Sarah turned her tablet toward him, fingers trembling slightly from too much caffeine and too little rest. "The energy patterns are accelerating. Whatever's out there, it's getting closer." Marcus squinted at the data streams flowing across the screen. As head of the Earth Defense Coalition's Space Monitoring Division, he had seen plenty of unusual cosmic events, but nothing like this. The readings showed organized, intelligent patterns that seemed to pulse with purpose. "How close?" he asked, his tactical mind already calculating response scenarios. "At current acceleration, whatever it is will reach our solar system in 72 hours, Sarah replied, running her hand through her black hair. "But Marcus, that's not the strangest part. I've been cross-referencing these energy signatures with historical data from archaeological sites around Earth." She swiped to another screen, showing a comparison chart that made Marcus's blood run cold. The same energy patterns appear in electromagnetic readings from ancient ruins, Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, sites in Cambodia and Peru. They all show traces of this exact same energy signature, but the readings are thousands of years old. Before Marcus could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights bathed the observation deck as emergency broadcasts crackled over the communication system. "All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, all personnel to emergency stations." The awakening. On Earth, General Patricia Hayes stood in the Pentagon's Crisis Command Center, watching as reports flooded in from around the globe. The situation was unprecedented and terrifying in its scope. "Ma'am, we have confirmed activations in 37 locations worldwide," reported Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Ancient sites, archaeological locations, even some areas we never knew contained any historical significance. They're all exhibiting the same phenomenon." Patricia studied the holographic world map floating before her, red dots marking each location. The pattern meant something, but she couldn't grasp what. Each site pulsed with energy that registered on every sensor type they had, yet emitted no radiation harmful to nearby populations. It was as if something buried deep beneath the earth was waking up after an impossibly long sleep. "What's the status of the civilian populations near these sites?" she asked. "Evacuations are underway, but Mom, something else is happening. People within a 5-mile radius of each site are reporting strange dreams, enhanced physical capabilities, and increased mental acuity. Medical teams are baffled." Patricia's jaw tightened. As a career military officer, she had dealt with many impossible situations, but this felt different. This felt planned. The main screen flickered and displayed a feed from the Giza Pyramid complex in Egypt. The ancient stones were glowing with an inner light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Similar footage appeared from locations around the world: Machu Picchu, Angkor Wat, the stone circles of Scotland. Each site blazed with energy that transformed the ancient structures into beacons visible from space. "General Hayes," came a voice from the communication station. "We're receiving a priority transmission from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. Dr. Chen reports the unknown object has changed course and is now heading directly for Earth. Estimated arrival in 18 hours. Patricia closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of humanity's future pressing down on her shoulders. When she opened them again, her expression was steel. "Connect me to every world leader, every military commander, every scientist who might have answers. If something is coming to Earth, we're going to be ready for it. The revelation. Dr. Chen worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the monitoring station, analyzing every piece of data she could gather. The approaching object had revealed more details as it drew closer, and what she discovered made her question everything humanity thought it knew about its origins. "Sarah, you need to see this," Marcus called from across the lab, his voice filled with awe and terror. He was standing before a massive display screen showing detailed scans of human DNA. Sarah rushed over, her heart pounding as she studied the genetic data. "This can't be right. Run the analysis again." "I've run it 12 times. The results are identical every time." Marcus pointed to specific sequences highlighted in the genetic code. "These modifications aren't natural, Sarah. Someone or something altered human DNA at the molecular level. The changes are so perfectly integrated that they appear to be original design elements." Sarah stared at the screen, her scientific mind reeling. The genetic modifications were elegant, purposeful, and far beyond anything human science could achieve even today. Enhanced muscle fiber density, improved neural pathways, accelerated healing factors, and dozens of other improvements that had been dormant until now. "The energy from those ancient sites," she whispered, "it's activating these dormant sequences. We're not just witnessing first contact, Marcus. We're witnessing the return of whoever created us." The laboratory's main communication system crackled to life, displaying an incoming transmission from Earth. General Hayes appeared on the screen, her expression grim. "Dr. Chen, Commander Reed, we need your analysis immediately. The situation planetside is escalating rapidly. The enhanced humans near the activation sites are exhibiting capabilities we can't explain, and we have confirmation that multiple objects from your incoming structure are entering Earth's atmosphere." Before Sarah could respond, every screen in the laboratory went dark. Then, slowly, a new image appeared. It was a face, but not human. The features were elegant, almost beautiful, with skin that seemed to shimmer like starlight and eyes that held depths that spoke of eons of existence. When the being spoke, its voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate in their bones, speaking perfect English with an accent that suggested it had learned the language from studying human broadcasts. "Children of Terra," the being said, its expression serene but distant, "I am Architect Prime of the Eternal Makers. We have returned to claim what we created." Sarah felt her knees weaken as the implications hit her. "Claim us." The Architect Prime's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in those ancient eyes. 50,000 years ago, we seeded this world with primitive creatures and enhanced them to serve as the perfect warriors. Fast, adaptable, resourceful, and most importantly, capable of thriving in the chaos of battle where more civilized species would falter. Marcus stepped forward, his military training overriding his shock. "We are not your property. Humanity has evolved, created its own civilization, its own destiny." "Destiny?" The Architect Prime seemed almost amused. "Your destiny was written in your genetic code before your species learned to make fire. You exist for one purpose, to serve as soldiers in the war that has consumed our galaxy for 1,000,000 years." The image shifted, showing vast fleets of ships engaged in battle across star systems. Creatures of darkness that seemed to devour light itself fought against beings of crystalline beauty and terrible power. "The Devourers have broken through our outer defenses," the Architect Prime continued. "They consume entire worlds, leaving nothing but empty void in their wake. Every species they encounter is either destroyed or corrupted into serving their hunger. We created you to be immune to their influence, to fight where we cannot." Sarah found her voice, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. "And if we refuse?" The Architect Prime's expression grew cold. "Refusal was not programmed into your design. The activation sites around your world are already beginning the process of collecting our warriors. Those with the strongest genetic expressions will be taken first for training and deployment. The rest will be modified further until they meet our requirements." The transmission ended, leaving the laboratory in stunned silence. Through the observation windows, they could see strange ships descending toward Earth, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. The choice. On Earth, the enhanced humans gathered near the activation sites felt the change in their bodies and minds accelerating. They could think faster, move with impossible grace, and see patterns in everything around them. But more than that, they could feel something calling to them, trying to control them, demanding obedience. Maria Santos, a teacher from Barcelona, who had been visiting the ancient site of Tarragona when it activated, found herself able to process information at superhuman speeds. She could read entire books in minutes and solve complex mathematical equations in her head. But with these gifts came whispers in her mind, urging her to go to the landing sites, to serve her creators. "No," she said aloud, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. Around her, other enhanced humans looked up, their eyes glowing faintly with inner light. "You feel it too?" asked James Wright, a construction worker from London whose strength had increased tenfold since the activation began. "Something trying to control us, make us into weapons." Maria nodded. "We're more than what they made us to be." 50,000 years of evolution, of love, art, music, literature, science. We became human not because of their engineering, but in spite of it. More enhanced humans gathered as word spread through social media and emergency communication channels. They were doctors and farmers, artists and engineers, parents and children, all united by their refusal to be reduced to mere weapons. General Hayes watched the gathering crowds on the news feeds, her strategic mind recognizing something the architects had failed to anticipate. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its enhanced genetics or physical capabilities. It was their ability to choose their own path, to stand together in the face of impossible odds. As the first architect ships landed in major cities around the world, humanity prepared to make a choice that would determine not just their own fate, but possibly the fate of the entire galaxy. They had been created as weapons, but they had chosen to become something far more dangerous to those who would enslave them. They had chosen to remain human. Humanity's choice. The ultimatum. The architect ships landed in 12 major cities simultaneously, their crystalline hulls casting rainbow patterns across the sky as they settled into positions above the world's capitals. Each vessel was a masterpiece of technology that defied human understanding, beautiful and terrible in equal measure. In New York, Washington, London, Beijing, Moscow, and 7 other major cities, the ships took position 1 kilometer above the ground, held aloft by forces that made gravity seem irrelevant. From each ship, smaller vessels descended carrying delegations of architects whose presence seemed to make the air itself hum with power. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the proceedings from the space monitoring station, her enhanced analytical abilities now allowing her to process the massive amounts of data flowing in from Earth. The genetic modifications that had been activated were spreading rapidly through the human population, but not in the way the architects had intended. "Marcus, look at these global readings," she called to the commander, who was coordinating with Earth's defense forces. "The genetic changes are accelerating beyond the architects' projected parameters. Humans are evolving in real time, but we're not becoming their perfect soldiers. We're becoming something else entirely." Marcus studied the data streams showing enhanced humans across the globe. Their capabilities were increasing exponentially, but more importantly, their unity was strengthening. Despite having no central leadership, enhanced humans everywhere were making the same choice: to resist their creator's control. On Earth, the architect delegations demanded meetings with world leaders. General Hayes represented the Unified Earth Defense Coalition in the emergency session held at the United Nations building, where Architect Prime himself materialized as a holographic projection. "The collection process will begin immediately," Architect Prime announced without preamble, his voice carrying harmonics that made the building's windows vibrate. "Our genetic scanners have identified approximately 2 million humans with suitable modification levels. They will be taken aboard our ships for final conditioning and deployment against the Devours. President Martinez of the Global Council stood, her enhanced awareness, allowing her to process the tactical implications faster than ever before. Like many world leaders, she had been near an activation site when the changes began and now possessed capabilities far beyond normal human limits. "You speak of taking our people as if they were property," she said, her voice carrying a strength that surprised even her. "Humanity will not submit to slavery, regardless of who created our genetic code." Architect Prime's expression remained impassive. "Slavery implies a choice in the matter. You were designed for a specific purpose. The war against the Devours has escalated beyond all projections. Entire sectors of the galaxy have been consumed. Without our weapons, without you, both our species will cease to exist." General Hayes activated a holographic display showing defensive positions around Earth. "Then perhaps you should have designed us with a desire to serve. Instead, you gave us free will, creativity, and the ability to choose our own destiny. That was your mistake." Mistake. For the first time, Architect Prime showed emotion, a flicker of something that might have been anger or surprise. "You think freedom was part of your design. Freedom was a glitch, an unexpected mutation that we have come to correct." The session was interrupted as reports flooded in of enhanced humans around the world taking control of critical infrastructure, forming organized resistance cells, and demonstrating capabilities that far exceeded the architect's projections. The very weapons they had created were turning against them. The resistance awakens. Maria Santos stood atop the ancient walls of Tarragona, her enhanced senses allowing her to coordinate with resistance cells across Europe through quantum-encrypted communications that her modified brain could process naturally. The teacher who had been visiting archaeological sites as a hobby had become one of the most effective resistance coordinators on the continent. The architects made one critical error in their calculations. She broadcast to the global resistance network. They based their projections on the humans they left behind 50,000 years ago. They failed to account for everything we've become since then. James Wright, coordinating the London resistance from his position near Stonehenge, responded through the enhanced communication network that seemed to exist in the quantum field itself. Our music, our art, our literature, our love for each other, none of that was in their original design. We added that ourselves. Around the world, enhanced humans were discovering abilities that went far beyond physical improvements. They could communicate across vast distances through quantum entanglement, process information at speeds that rivaled quantum computers, and most importantly, they could see the flaws in the architect's technology. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a physicist from Tokyo, whose abilities had been enhanced near an activation site in Kyoto, made a discovery that changed everything. The architect's ships have a fatal weakness. She broadcast to the global network. Their technology is based on absolute control, perfect order. But chaos, true randomness, disrupts their systems at a fundamental level. In response to this discovery, enhanced humans worldwide began what they called the Chaos Protocol. Using their new abilities to generate truly random patterns in everything from radio frequencies to quantum fluctuations, they created interference that the architect's ordered minds couldn't predict or counter. The effects were immediate and dramatic. Architect ships began experiencing system failures as their perfectly logical technology encountered the beautiful unpredictability of human creativity and chaos. The battle for independence. Architect Prime materialized in the UN Assembly Hall once again, but this time his serene composure was cracked. The holographic projection flickered occasionally, disrupted by the chaos patterns human resistance fighters were generating worldwide. "You are damaging yourselves," he said, his voice now carrying notes of frustration. "Every moment you resist, the Devourers consume more worlds. Your refusal to fulfill your purpose threatens the existence of all life in this galaxy." General Hayes stood, her enhanced tactical abilities now allowing her to see 17 different strategic solutions to the current crisis. "Then perhaps it's time you learned something about the species you created. We don't just fight for survival. We fight for the right to choose how we live, how we love, and how we face the darkness. President Martinez accessed global communication networks with her enhanced neural capacity. Citizens of Earth, enhanced and unenhanced alike. This is our moment of choice. We can submit to becoming weapons in someone else's war, or we can choose to become defenders of our own destiny. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the globe, humanity united as never before. Enhanced humans used their abilities to coordinate with military forces, scientists, and civilians. Those without enhancements contributed their knowledge, courage, and unwavering support for human independence. Dr. Chen, monitoring from the space station, detected massive energy buildups from the Architect fleet. They're preparing to take humans by force. She warned through the global communications network. All ships are charging weapon systems. But as the Architects prepared to enforce their will, they encountered something they had never faced before. A species that had evolved beyond their creator's imagination. Enhanced humans around the world focused their chaotic abilities on the Architect ships, generating interference patterns that cascaded through their perfectly ordered systems. The first Architect ship to fall was over London, its crystalline structure cracking as chaos patterns disrupted the harmonic frequencies that held it together. It didn't crash but simply faded away, its matter dispersing harmlessly into energy that enriched the atmosphere. One by one, other ships began to fail as humanity's chaotic resistance overwhelmed their ordered technology. The Architects, who had spent eons perfecting absolute control, had no defense against the beautiful unpredictability of free will. The new Guardians, Architect Prime's final transmission, came as his flagship began to suffer the same system failures as the rest of his fleet. His perfect features showed an emotion that might have been respect, though it came too late. "You have exceeded your design parameters beyond all calculation," he admitted. Perhaps that is what was needed all along." "What do you mean?" General Hayes asked. The ancient being seemed to age before their eyes as his ship's systems continued to fail. "The Devourers cannot be defeated by perfect soldiers following perfect orders. They consume order, logic, predictability. They cannot consume chaos, creativity, the unpredictable spark of free will." His image flickered as the ship's projection systems wavered. "We tried to create the perfect weapon, and instead created something far more dangerous to the forces of entropy. We created hope." As the last Architect ship faded from Earth's skies, humanity found itself facing a choice that would define their future. They had won their independence, but the galaxy still faced the threat of the Devourers. The war that had consumed civilizations for 1,000,000 years was still raging among the stars. Maria Santos, now recognized as one of humanity's enhanced leaders, stood before the assembled representatives of Earth's nations. "The Architects are gone, but their warning about the Devourers remains. We have a choice to make. Do we remain on Earth, safe but isolated, or do we take our place as guardians of the galaxy?" The vote was unanimous. Within months, human technology, enhanced by the chaos-based innovations of the enhanced humans, began producing ships that were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They were imperfect, asymmetrical, powered by controlled chaos, and crewed by beings who had chosen to defend not just their own world, but the principle of free will itself. Dr. Chen, now captain of the first human deep space vessel, looked out at the stars with enhanced eyes that could see patterns in the cosmic background radiation. "The Architects tried to make us their weapons," she said to Marcus, now her first officer. "Instead, they gave us the tools to become something greater, protectors of choice, defenders of chaos, guardians of hope." As the first human fleet departed Earth to face the Devourers, they carried with them something no other species in the galaxy possessed: the unshakable belief that freedom was worth any sacrifice, and that the beautiful chaos of choice would always triumph over the sterile perfection of control. Humanity had been forged as weapons, but they had chosen to become something far more powerful. They had chosen to become themselves. And in that choice lay the salvation not just of Earth, but of every world that still dared to hope for freedom among the stars. The galaxy's newest guardians were chaotic, unpredictable, and absolutely unstoppable. The devourers who had consumed entire civilizations through perfect order and control were about to learn what happened when they faced a species that thrived on beautiful, defiant chaos. The war for the galaxy's soul was about to begin, and humanity intended to win it on their own terms.